Most of the time, we talk about somebody has been kidnapped, even when we have not heard his or her voice. If the person is missing, we'll call it kidnapping. If the person has been abducted by his boyfriend, or we still refer to it as kidnapping. If they have made a complaint to the police, they shouldn't give us some timelines, but rather they should cooperate with us. Perhaps the person is even missing. The person has traveled somewhere without telling the parents. We need time to do these investigations. It is not as if in Ghana we are unable to unravel kidnapping cases. That is not the case. I returned from South Africa recently, and it is the case everywhere, and we don't know. Sometimes I keep wondering whether we are comparing ourselves with a certain country, but if we try to do that, we may be a bit comfortable with our situation. I'm not saying that we are complacent, but we do our best under the circumstance.
All right, so you heard the Inspector General of Police on the matters of the kidnapped girls. 3 of them still no news, no clues as to where they will be found. We have heard the rhetoric over and again that the police is on the job, except that the job isn't producing any fruits. And so the families are extremely disturbed. And they were shocked to the marrow. When the man who is arrested and suspected with the crime of kidnapping the young girls in Takoradi, a Nigerian Samuel Wales, told a district court he's been prosecuted for escaping lawful custody, told the district court that he was aided by a police officer to escape from the cells last December. This has sent the families of the victims into shock, complete shock, and they are questioning the commitment of the police. So, Doc, I mean, Dr. Udrosa, should the families continue to keep faith? Do they have an option, really? But do you get the impression that the police are really on top of this game, listening even to the IGP?
I want to believe if they want to be on top, they can be on top of the game. The families have every cause to complain because it is quite traumatizing. I mean, if you have...
The IGP says complain, but don't give us deadlines.
No, they have to give them deadline. Well, we pay them, and they are expected to deliver. They protect us. They are to protect us. If it were to be a policeman's daughter or in this matter, I'm very positive that they would have done everything possible to make sure that they rescue them. This is not to say that they are not working on it, but I think they are delaying it. Look, this gentleman saying that he was aided by a police CID to escape, it is important, but it is not as important as rescuing them. I see it as a diversionary tactic. You are just diverting attention. The police should put intelligence on the ground, especially when you have one person in your custody. What is preventing the police from extracting information, good hardcore evidence from the person? Then you come and tell us the person is now talking, he is speaking. What is it that he's saying? That is aiding investigations. I think the family, they have every right to give the police deadlines. And that is what we pay them for. They should be able to deliver. If they are not able to meet the deadline, it means they are failing. They are failing us. So I think they should be on top of their game. If they're already on top, then they should be on top proper because we are not seeing results.
Okay, so Angela, okay, so let me just ask what you have to say, because this is the area that you certainly will be so disturbed about, as the head of the ACT Foundation, you know, speaking for women over the years and girls. You must be extremely disturbed about this. But how much can we blame the police for the rescue efforts that have been delayed so far?
It is disturbing indeed. When the story broke, many of us were surprised that it had actually happened way before we heard that this had actually happened. Kidnappings are not very strange. They do happen in every jurisdiction. But when it happens in a, a multiple way and in a particular area, we need to act faster than we've acted. And I think that's where it went wrong, right from the beginning. Right from the beginning, the attitude of the police when we heard the interview of the commander, the responses that he was given, and so on and so forth. I remembered, it made me remember the time when the 4-year-old girl was defiled, and the police was put on air to explain, and they were saying, oh, we are waiting for the father to come and take us to the area where it happened, and we have heard that the father has traveled, and that is why. I mean, you sit down and you say, oh, is this person a professional? And that's exactly the same way I felt when I heard the commander talking about what they had done so far about this case, to the point where the host of the program said, so when are we going to get the pictures of the girls? And he says, this evening. And indeed, by this evening, the pictures of the girls were out there for us to look at. Between when it happened and when the report got to them and when the pictures were released, so many things could have happened, so much could have gone under the bridge in terms of investigation, in terms of, one of the things that I found intriguing, for example, was the fact that they discovered a dress and a scarf of one of the victims in the area where the suspect was supposed to be. What happened to that? What did they do with it? Okay, these are reasons why sometimes some of us think that the police should also know they don't work in isolation. They have, in instances, been asked to call upon other agencies that may have more, resources and are able to crack some of these cases much better. It's okay. So right from the beginning, when the commander spoke the way he did, and he had not even connected with the national headquarters, the CID and so on, I knew that this was going to be very problematic, because so many things could have happened. To what if it's a trafficking ring?
Yeah, so we understand that now they have gone beyond Ghana. They're working with Interpol on it. Is it too late, you think? Well,
I'm just praying as a mother. It's one thing to know that the person is not dead. They are dead. It's another thing not to know what has happened to them, in what state they are. So for the families, it's a very harrowing experience, just not knowing what has happened to their children. And that is why I'm thinking they shouldn't give up. The thing is not to make it seem as if people are putting pressure on them. Of course, they're a state institution. They respond to us. It's okay for us to give them pressure. It doesn't mean that they should use that pressure to work. If you know what I mean. You are professionals. Act professionally and make sure that you are getting results from all that you are doing. And from time to time, brief those who are immediately involved in the case and give the public what they need to also know that you are progressing on this case. But don't make it seem as if we don't have a right to even question you or make the demands that we are making. So I don't have a very good feeling about this, but some of us are also, wear other hats as religious people and pastors, and we are still praying that there should be closure to this. It's so important for the families. And I think this is one of the cases that, even though I do often express confidence in the police because I've worked with them before and I know what they are capable of doing, it wasn't because of all the other things we complain about, this is one of the things where I say that at the district level, at the regional level, there seems to be not enough monitoring, not enough supervision of police at that level, from the top. And so too many things are done in ways in which
in the wake of the news, we are now being told about situations too that are funny. The Western Regional Police is informing us about prosecuting 6 SHS students and 3 others for faking kidnap. I don't know if you appreciate why this news is brought in at this time, that this is also going on, that people are actually faking, you know, kidnapping.
Well,
just to extort money from their parents and guardians.
It's good that we know. The complication is that it can complicate cases that are being investigated. So it's very good for the public to be warned not to do that, and to let them know that there are consequences for doing a thing like this. It's sad to me that these are young people,
right,
you know, and I don't know, you know, what's actually going on in their minds for them to be thinking about extorting, you know, monies on the basis of such an important and such a harrowing issue. So it's okay for the police to let us know that people, it's not only the young people, there's also a woman who was accusing her husband, you know, of, exactly. So yes, they should go after people who raise false alarms and let the public know you can't do this, and the impact it has actually on the real cases that they are investigating.
Sulaiman, you think that first we talk about the police, but we don't seem to also, you know, keep a focus on the fact that if the police will be successful, it depends on us. It depends on the people. And, you know, as a media, you know, person and one who, you know, is training journalists and doing all the things that need to be done in the media front, do you think the media is helping enough in this regard as well to find the girls?
Well, Samson, first of all, I would say that, and I think it has come up several times, that this appears to be a new phenomenon of crime in our country. Just as at some point we started witnessing daylight robbery, or whatever they call it, and people attacking banks, you know, during the day and so on.
Right.
This certainly is a new phenomenon of crime, and it puts all of us at risk. It's really, yes, for now we have these victims that we are still searching for, and we do sympathize with the families, and we pray that all efforts are made to get the perpetrators arrested.
Can't imagine the trauma that the parents are going through, the relations.
But the reality is that we are all at risk if this phenomenon is allowed to perpetuate itself. Now, I think that the conversation has so far been around what is the police doing, what have the police done, and so on. I think at this stage it's also important to broaden it, perhaps to the beginning, the conversations that we had at the beginning of this program, which is about national security. Where is our intelligence agencies? Where are our national security establishments? What are their role? What could they have done? What could they be doing? What should they have done by now?
The guy who led the abductions apparently lived with them for a while and, you know, created friendships.
Exactly. And I think that is another thing that we should be worried about, that we are in a country that at a particular moment we can be taken by a storm, and, you know, multiple incidents of new crimes can happen, and for a period of time it will appear that our police don't really know what to do about it.
But I was speaking about ourselves as individuals in a community. How often are we questioning people that we do not know who we find around our place?
Yeah, and that is absolutely right. But I put down here that even as these things have been happening, what has been the level of public education about it? Telling parents that you need to tell your kids that, you know, if you are to be picked up by a stranger, you close from school and somebody says, oh, let me give you a lift, let me help you, let me do this, what should they do? And kids are kids. Anything can happen. You know, so I think that as a country, at this stage, we appear unprepared, and we appear quite, I don't know whether to say, yes, vulnerable to all manner of attacks and so on and so forth. But coming to your question about the media and the reportage so far, I think in the office we have expressed some concern about so far how the reporting has been. It's basically has been sometimes quite speculative, you know, and giving credence to some of these other ones that have eventually proven to be fake, and the folks are facing prosecution, you know. And sometimes the reports are done in a way that, as they used to say, causing fear and panic. You know, another person has been kidnapped. Oh, somebody else has been kidnapped, and so on. And eventually, by the next day, it turns out not to be true. So I think that the media have a lot to do, but it's also about the level of cooperation between the media and the police, especially. You know, how often do we get briefing from the police about the status? It's been quite rare, and the media in that case, you know, would either end up speculating or talk to the wrong people, or talk to families who would say, oh, this is happening. We saw this man chasing this man. Because I read something about somebody who was being traced, and the woman raised an alarm, and the person had to run into the bush, and so on and so forth. And I'm asking myself, could it have been true that this person was a kidnapper, or it was just a false alarm that was raised? And the media reported it as though, you know, it's something that happened. And the fear is, this is happening in the Western region.
But it took the media to give attention to these kidnappings. It took the media to begin to publish the pictures and to seek, get people to assist.
Absolutely. So yes, there's a positive side of it. But the point I made about the police and the relationship that they have with the media, what kind of information should even go out there? You know, what shouldn't go out? How should it be reported? The briefings and so on. And I think that is where I would blame the police, because they allow for a lot of speculation to happen, no, you know, frequent updates, and as I said, public education. What has happened? You know, what should we do? What do we need to know about these things, and how should we take care of ourselves, and so on and so forth?
Covental, this issue almost died with the normal Ghanaian media attitude. We take an issue up, talk about it for a week, and you can be sure that the next time we forget about it. No follow-ups. And then you came on Newsfile, we're discussing a matter, and you decided to zero in on this. After that Newsfile, the story has not been the same. But it's about rescuing them, not so?
So you see, Samson, I am happy with what I did. I am happy with the result. And you remember I was sitting here and I was getting emotional about it, because the point I was making is that, do our security services take care of ordinary people? And then I mentioned the lady's name. Now, subsequent to that, Joy FM mounted a campaign, put the police under pressure. Okay, the questions
they went to the region.
Yes, went to the region. That's so much work. Question still remains. Do our security services take care of ordinary people? Okay, where are all the intelligence institutions in this? Look, it is somebody's child, but anybody listening to me now, if you have a son, a daughter, just imagine that person is the one who has been kidnapped. And this is what government is there for. Government is there to do things that ordinary people cannot do. We can't all create an emergency system and a security system and intelligence system to go and help retrieve our children when they are kidnapped. But this is when you see the meaning of government and the usefulness of government. Okay, we've been talking about our security system, and I won't go there, but focusing on this again. Are they there working for us? If they are, why do we still...
When Joy began to put the floodlight on this and publish the photographs of the girls, they went to Takoradi and they were able to trace, including to a filling station, where one of the vehicles apparently used to, you know, maybe traffic.
That's the next point I'm coming to.
And got access to CCTV footage. Unfortunately, the particular filling station had destroyed or is not able to keep so much at a certain point. So they couldn't get to the time when they may have taken the girl away.
Which is the issue now.
The police, as at that time,
did not have
was still acting clueless.
So if they were doing their job from the beginning, then maybe we would have gotten something out of what they call the golden 48 hours. Okay. I have a few questions. What is the standard operating procedure in Ghana police in a kidnapping situation? I ask this question simply because journalists asked on air, where are their pictures? weeks after the event. Don't yourself, you, the police system, have a certain procedure that says this is what's going to happen? So let's just talk about reporting. In, I don't know what that is, but in better places, serious journalists will never call a crime by a certain name, kidnapping or otherwise, unless they've heard from the police.
Okay.
So if somebody is chasing somebody, somebody goes to somebody's house, somebody catches somebody, don't call it kidnap or otherwise. They will wait for the police briefing. Here, there is no police briefing. So the journalist will give it a certain name, then it turns out it was somebody and his boyfriend. Okay. The police owe us a few things. One, diligence, to do your best according to the job you are paid for, to help us. And two, information.
They'll tell you they don't have the facilities.
But that is why the last time I made the case.
And lodge a complaint. They need you to transport them.
Yes.
Oh,
which is
okay.
why the last time I made
Maybe
the point.
take care of their lunch and
that,
water.
like Angie and I are saying, we all like our police and we say they are the best when it comes to certain cases. But the last time I made the point that the police recently had $10 million to spend and they used them to buy air-conditioned saloon cars. Yeah. So when you tell me they don't have resources, I'll say, well, the last time you got $10 million, what did you do with it? And I asked, how do you make those choices between not having communication and then this one? And then I also made the point that they owe us information. Have they even tracked the phones? You don't have to tell us exactly what you found, but you owe us to say this and that. You are just telling me they had a certain system where there was somebody's CCTV, etc. Did you do just that? Then you are just telling us, journalists, weeks after the fact, go on the ground, start asking simple questions, and start coming up with information. A journalist tells a police person on air, why haven't you put the quick pictures out? He said, well, we'll put them out this evening. And then they put them out. Look, we worry about how these things are done. Then you get the news that it took, the accused is saying, a CID person helped him to escape. Look, all these things raise questions about the quality of our policing. And we are simply saying, please, be a bit mindful, okay, to just do your job, even if it's an ordinary person. Because look, we basically rely on you. And without that, when the criminals get a sense, okay, that nothing is going to happen, it will be terrible. Unfortunately, you have a situation where people then will start defending themselves. All right? We are blessed to have a country where we are not prone to extreme crime and all those things. But honestly, there's a line that when a Ghanaian crosses is worse than any I've seen. When you see, I have seen people beat up a suspected thief.
Right.
And the average Ghanaian mob can beat you to death. Okay, so we should not cross that point. And we cross it when we totally lose this confidence that our police will do something.
We call it mob justice and we have condemned it.
You know, so I'm saying again, they owe us information. Okay. They owe us some sort of, you know, keeping us abreast with what they are doing. And if ordinary journalists can get certain things, they should also be able to get it. What is the standard procedure?
Right.
Okay. And we pray these girls will be found. We sincerely pray they will be found. Whatever happens, we need to be able to leave this matter believing that our police did their best. I doubt if presently we can say that.
Dr. Drosai, what should parents, you know, guardians be doing ordinarily? Any tips? What should they be doing? We've done this before, but can we repeat a few things that they can do to sort of protect themselves and their children from falling prey to these guys?
I think what they can do is, one, we should all raise people's awareness about what is happening, and they should be mindful of people in their surroundings. If you have people loitering around, people who come closer to you with certain intentions, you should be mindful of that. And then also, we should let our children know that, look, you don't talk to strange people about certain things.
Right.
And that's one thing that we do know. We don't manage information well. Call an average Ghanaian home and then say, and ask one single question. They can give you about 20 answers. That gives you an information. That's it. And then it exposes everybody. We should do security awareness orientation. And then the schools that our children attend, we should try as much as possible that we can beef up security in those schools. And then also, let us pay attention to our young girls and then boys, those who are not in school, and even those who are in school. because people can lure them into doing all kinds of things. Because of the unemployment rate in this country, people come in and they use all kinds of things to lure them into it. And then again, we should also encourage the police to encourage us to give them information, but the police assuring us that if we give them the information, they will not expose us. That assurance is very important.
Okay, let's hear what Dr. Angela Jovna-Boaji will also add to how we can be security conscious and protect ourselves.
Well, I think that one of the things that haven't been properly done in this country is community policing. We bring it out and then we take it back. We bring it out and, you know, it's like we haven't made up our minds, even though there's supposed to be a whole setup about community policing. If we want to do community policing, it has a certain structure, it's a certain system, it has positive benefits. Let me put those two words together, okay? And so that's part of what we should be looking at as a nation about community policing. It even teaches us how to converse in the manner that Dr. is talking about. So that's one thing. The other thing is that self-awareness is very important for all of us. I mean, as Ghanaians, I think we're a bit too friendly, a bit too, yes, in some aspects we are very friendly, in other aspects we can be very, we can be very mean to one another. Very, very, very mean. But sometimes we're a bit too friendly. I mean, if you're asking for direction from somebody, the person will come close to your car, will even tell you, oh, I'm even going there. Let me sit in the car with you and go with you and all of those things. These are things that we should become aware of, that they are points of danger. You can easily let yourself into danger because you are being over-friendly. That's another thing. I think some of the things that we complain, you see, it's multi-dimensional because there's a state part to it and then there's the personal part to it. Or when you're driving in Ghana from 7 p.m., the darkness in many places, I mean, without these street lights, you see, we cannot reduce some of these crimes too. We really do need street lights. And I'm speaking especially for women in this case, you see, because it's not as though we are less than men, but vulnerabilities in terms of physical strength. Somebody can easily jump out of a bush and overpower you, or, you know, try to do you harm. And I think that we need to start looking at street lighting, especially the solar kind, because the sunlight is in abundance in our country. We don't have any excuse not to have enough street lights. We should also try and walk in bands as much as possible. We should try and walk in bands and in groups.
We've heard stories about particularly women who have jumped into taxis and the story ended quite sadly, particularly in this area where we are hearing about the kidnappings as well. So the media, you are always looking at how they can be responsible. So what would you say?
Well, I think that there are all manner of emerging stuff that we need to continuously build our capacity in. But institutions also owe a responsibility in helping the media to do their work well. And so, in as much as we would want our journalists to always be very professional in whatever they do, by always ensuring that the facts are what is put out there, as Kofi was saying elsewhere, you don't give an act a name until you confirm that this is what exactly it is. And quite often, that is what happens here. Sometimes it's difficult to blame them because the people who should give the right information to the journalists are not willing to provide that. And so I think it calls for a lot of collaboration, not just with the police, but also with subject matter experts, with institutions that care about, you know, some of these things. And I believe that with such collaboration and commitment to being professional, we can do that.
I've seen that Kofi has put down a few points he wants to raise, but before I get him to tell us what he also has, the family of Emmanuel Chermating Ejako, late, the MP, has issued a statement, and it is saying that the video footage shown by former President John Mahama to be scenes from Emmanuel Ejako's funeral are false. He says those videotapes are rather from the funeral of Lieutenant Colonel Edu Tieku's funeral held in August 2018. And they are saying that what the president did is embarrassing to them and they should stop. Okay, so let's see how this also pans out about this videotape.
But
yes.
So quickly, I just wanted to say something that...
Talking about funeral, I don't think the former president was talking about the cars.
No, he said he's used a different footage as this one.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So it comes back to the same investigation thing. And it all ties in. The point I want to make is this. So the police have their own oversight mechanisms. It's part of the standard operating procedure. So a senior person, somebody has been kidnapped. Okay, whoever is working on it, I am praying that please use the oversight systems. After 2 weeks, ask them, where are we? Let them write a report. I'm saying so because I have been in touch with the family after I raised this issue here. And they will tell you that nothing until they push. And please, if you just do that, maybe the guy who is on the case may find a reason to be diligent about it.
Okay.
So please, use the systems and processes so that we will know that at least things are working.
Thank you very much. My guests on Newsfile this morning have been Dr. Angela Dwamena-Abuaji, Executive Director of the ACT Foundation, Ghana, and also a lawyer. Kofi Bento is a lawyer, Vice President of Imani Africa. Dr. Eric Odro-Osai is a lawyer and governance expert. Suleiman Brahima is Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa. I'm Samson Ladia. My outfit, as always, is by Latida. Have a good afternoon.